Hello people, it's a secret anime fan here, and today is a video on my thoughts on the Promised Neverland so far. I thought I would just do this video quickly, so I'm going to start doing chapter reviews on my channel. I've actually got one out at the moment of 125, I need to do 126, and I need to look on the internet, but probably 127 is already out. So yeah, I thought I might as well share my thoughts. So this is actually the second time I'm doing this video because I had dog sounds in my other videos, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. So let's get started on my thoughts. Now I'm going to talk about my preconceived notion on the Promised Neverland. When I first saw it, I thought no way in a million years did I think I would like this kind of manga. I judged it solely on the age of the characters. I thought it would be a childish manga with probably little depth, and I just wasn't interested in giving it a go. But as I've got older, that makes me sound like I'm in my 50s or 60s or something. I'm still in my early 20s. But yeah, as I've got older, I've learnt to give things a go. Like, I tried other genres now. When I first started, it was all about shonen and seinen pretty much. But anyway, yeah, I chose to give it a go, and I'm so glad I did. Now, let's start with what I'm probably most impressed by. I think I'm most impressed with how the story goes against my expectations. I'm constantly thinking, yeah, the story is definitely going this way for it to go a separate way. I also like it doesn't do it too much and do it for the sake of just doing it. It's a breath of fresh air in the shonen genre. Of course, I still like other shonen like One Piece and other things like that, but as I said, this one provides a breath of fresh air. I suppose One Piece does, you know, it's good, it switches things up as well, but I think the Promised Neverland does, I don't know, it's just a breath of fresh air, I think. Let me know in the comment section if you agree. Okay, now let's talk about the characters in general. And yet again, they don't follow the average route for a shonen character. Sure, they have elements of a shonen character. After all, it is one. But yeah, they switch things up a little bit. They're not like by the book shonen characters, but where characters in the past have traits in manga or anime that I disliked, let's take Emma for an example. A character like Emma, if she was in a different manga, I would probably dislike her due to her need for everything to be a-okay. But with Emma, it isn't taken to the extreme and is delivered in a way where I'm like, yeah, I can accept that, as opposed to other characters I've seen in other manga and anime that want everything to be a fairy tale where everything is perfect and they completely ignore logic or reason. Sure, Emma shows glimpses of this, but she is aware that everything can't go the way she wants to. She still wants things to go how she wants to in her head, but I think the mangaka, who I'm not saying their name because I want to show respect, so I don't want to mispronounce their name, but I might try and pronounce their name in future chapter reviews. But anyway, yeah, I think the mangaka has done a good job on this part. Just to throw an example out there, and this is kind of slightly spoilerish, but not really if you not even know the tiniest bit about the Promised Neverland. When Emma realises that to save the cattle children / the humans, that demons would have to die. She doesn't like the idea of demons having to die, but she realised this is the case. Like, they have to die if she wants to save cattle children, but she still wants the demons to not die. It's dealt with in a way that if it was in any other manga, I'd probably have disliked it, but it's done well in this manga. And of course, not all manga are like this, of course, but you get the point. The story has been decent so far. I like the first arc in particular, and I was worried how will the mangaka follow up on a solid first arc, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one worried at the time. Luckily, it's been followed up by a decent story and introduced characters that I've grown an attachment to, and the pacing, I can only praise the pacing. It has great pacing, no dilly-dallying around for the most part. Now, sometimes I've actually been left wanting for it to slow down the pacing. I would say mainly during the time between the shelter and their adventures out in the world. A lot was skipped in order to speed up the progression of the story, but hey, I'm not salty about the situation. Maybe later on we'll get a couple more chapters on it. Now let's talk about quite a big factor in the Promised Neverland. Let's talk about the constant threat of characters dying or getting injured or getting stuck in dangerous situations. This aspect leaves me on edge all the time, or pretty much all the time, that yeah, a character can die at any time, and a lot of the time it's just for the characters, but even then we get to see how that will affect the main cast. This factor is part of the thing I was talking about earlier about not knowing what will happen. And sure, sometimes the mangaka will just pull like characters you've not seen. I'm talking about the big group that they receive from Goldie Pond. Sometimes they'll just throw out one of them characters just to die for the sake of it, so that's kind of a little bit bit. I don't know what my opinions on that would be, but yeah. Now let's talk about world building and demons in a bit. So far it's been okay at world building. A lot has been left in mystery and I'm okay with that. It's left me wanting to know more. So yeah, whilst we don't know a whole lot at the moment, it will come about and I'm looking forward to it. So the setup for the world building has been good. Even if at the moment world building has been okay. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Not quite sure I'm getting my point across, but hey, let's move on. Let's talk briefly about the demons. I'll go more in detail on them in a minute, but for now I will say there's not much to say. I've liked the development they've gotten so far, all the information we have been told, and so yeah, let's hope for more. Okay, now I'm going to go into my thoughts on more spoilerish content, so if you're not up to speed with the manga, then stop the video now, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get started. I should have left some moments of silence, but I want to start my thoughts on William Minerva. I was kind of disappointed he was dead, but the story dealt with it well. The whole thing of getting messages from Minerva, but it actually being Norman was cool also. But even before that, the whole Minerva character left me wanting to know more when Minerva wasn't Norm. Like, you know what I'm saying? When Minerva was just Minerva, when you're actually getting messages from Minerva. And yeah, it left me wanting to know more about him, leaving info for the cattle children to follow and discover. I enjoyed it all, but as I said, I was left disappointed with the outcome. Hopefully, it's not the end to Minerva's involvement in the story. Okay, let's talk about demons. I probably want to start with the demon hierarchy and the demon world and the other things as well. I'm glad to see the demons follow a similar structure to the real world that humans do in the real world. There are nobles, common people, and lesser demons. Now, of course, I'm not calling anyone in the real world lesser than anyone else, but other than that, there are parallels between the manga and the real world. And the mangaka does a good job of displaying that without getting too political or preachy. I think it's just the perfect amount of just, I don't know, just, it's good. I like it. It's a good amount of goodness. I don't know what to say, so I'm just going to say that. But back to talking about the demons. Whilst it was relatively clear the demons needed to eat humans to retain their intelligence, I was slightly surprised they also needed it to keep their form, and they follow the old expression, you are what you eat. But what I found most interesting about the demons is the demon symbol, the symbol that's above the king. By that I mean the symbol that is above the king. I really want to find out whatever that is, as we just don't know at the moment, and I really want to find out. As we've learnt as well, that even the king of the demons can't eat Gracie-filled cattle, only this top being can. Also, we learned that there's one royal family, one royal demon family, but there are 5 other top families called the 5 regent lines, or something along the lines of that. But anyway, I want to say some of that for my chapter 126 review, so let's move on. Okay, I'm aware I've kind of gone off the discussion of my thoughts on the Promised Neverland and just kind of delving into the story, but hey, that's what I want to talk about. I just want to talk about with this out loud, and hopefully some of you could talk about it in the comment section, talk with me in the comment section about it. I'd really enjoy that. I'm going to share my thoughts on Norman being alive and what he has become. Let's start. I'm glad he is alive. Of course, we were all expecting him to be alive, but yeah, found it interesting how he's developed, acting as a leader and a badass, ready to take on the demons. Well, probably not directly, but with his lambda cattle children, superhuman people, but I'll get more on that in a minute. I like the contrast between Norman, that the Ray and Emma know, and the other Gracie-filled children know, and the lambda cattle that live in Norman's little resort and the other children live in the resort. There's a very big contrast between what they know, the previous the cattle children, the Gracie-filled cattle children know Norman as, and what the lambda cattle children who think that, and the other cattle children who think he's William Minerva, and if he's a lot, I don't know, I just enjoy the contrast between it. Okay, I want to discuss one more thing before I end the video, and that is lambda. I'm glad this whole thing was introduced. I mean, genetically enhanced humans capable of slaying demons, that's badass. But I'm also sad that what they had to go through. They had to go through a lot of things. We learned that recently, and it left me feeling sad that they had to go through that, but hype at the same time. Hopefully we get more development on the whole lambda research and the lambda cattle. What I've noticed so far though is there's most likely a downside to their powers, and that's probably angle issues, but at the same time, as I said, they went through a lot, so it's understandable they'll be really angry at the demons. But I also think they have slightly off thinking. Now, this could be the pure anger, as I said, for the demons, but I don't know. I just think there must be some kind of downside to the whole thing, and I think Norman is probably affected by whatever it is as well. But who knows? Maybe not. That's just my speculation. Anyway, that's it for the video. I kind of rambled a bit here and there. Please forgive me. I usually use scripts, but this time I just kind of used like a script, but I kind of riff off it. So yeah, I do character stories on my channel about anime. I do reviews. I'm going to start doing theories. I'm going to start doing everything anime related pretty much. So I'm going to do manga stuff as well, of course. So I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and see ya.